go and fetch your bank. Try that and upstate boy to a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college turned out me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I said, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to sing. You might get the best of him, but you'll never fool me. Now, sweet talk to Beanstalk, tell Jack to go and fetch your bank. Try that and upstate boy to a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I say, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Whoa. But college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to sing. You might get the best of him, but you'll never fool me. Now, sweet talk to Beanstalk, tell Jack to go and fetch your bank. Try that and upstate boy to a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college done up me. Get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I said, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to sing. You might get the best of him, but you'll never fool me. Now, sweet talk to Beanstalk, tell Jack to go and fetch your bank. Try that and upstate boy to a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I say, whoa, I am my father's son.
What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome to the K-Gun Report, our draft reaction show. We can't wait to get started. We got a couple giveaways to give away today from the last show. Those of you who tuned into the draft special, we had that Trey White jersey that we, if you left a comment, you were entered to win. We do have that Fandemonium Wheel of Destiny to spin. And also on our Finger Lakes page, tag, like, and shared our Finger Lakes page. We had a $25 gift card to Otis and Lisa's, who was our sponsor of the K-Gun Report special, draft special, and we had one extra. So we decided, let's spread the love on the Finger Lakes Mafia page. Whoever shared and tagged people on that were also entered a Fandemonium Wheel of Destiny to win that gift card. So got a fun show ahead of you. We got a discussion to talk about something that happened yesterday. On the news or the radio station, however you want to look at it. But a fun conversation to have about that. There's a lot of takes based off of that, so it should be interesting. But let me get this intro going, and we will talk to you guys in just a second.
Bills Mafia, your draft class. Maxwell Hairston, Kentucky. TJ Sanders, South Carolina. Landon Jackson, Arkansas. Deion Walker, Kentucky. Jordan Hancock, Ohio State. Jackson Haas, Georgia Tech. Dorian Strong, Virginia Tech. Chase Lunt, UConn. Caden Prather, Maryland. Your 2025 draft class. Now, the K-Gun Report.
Wow, I added everyone to the stage, and it just disappeared when that came up. Welcome, as I promised, to the K-Gun Report. We got our draft reaction special going on here. I have my brother from the same mother, my brother Jared. Jared, what's crack-a-lackin'? Tell us how you feel about this draft overall, and tell people where they could find you and about us a little bit.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Jared247 slash 7 24 slash 7BF. Holy crap, can we start over again? No, what I think about the draft, I thought it was excellent. The Bills moved up and got who they wanted. Got the cornerback. We loaded up on defense. I think that's going to be a hot topic to talk about. And we got 3 offensive guys out of 9 picks, a tight end, an offensive lineman, and a wide receiver. I'm representing receivers today with my Stevie Johnson and my Shakir. And let's go. Let's go Buffalo.
There you go. And I forgot to add up there, we are part of the Buff Fan Base Network. Join them on K. It's the original Bills Mafia, fellas and ladies, almost 180K strong. And they have a bunch of content creators, all of different opinions, but all fan first perspective kind of fellas and ladies. And it's just fun. Get your niche, follow us, like us, tag us, share us, and listen in, because we do have a lot of different opinions, so you get a little bit of taste of everything. And with that, we are presented and sponsored by 26 Shirts, 26shirts.com. Go to their website. That's all I'm going to tell you. You're going to be hooked on the t-shirt ideas that they have. They're relevant, they're cool, they're hip, they're all what the cool kids say. But what you're doing is you're purchasing a shirt, and that money goes towards the Western New York family in need. I will remind you that when you go and pick out the shirt that you like, scroll to the bottom of the page, because they do a good job of telling the story of where that money's going. It's a beautiful thing. 26shirts.com. Del Reed has done some amazing things. They're up over $200 million in donations, Jared, which is crazy. Yes. But that's our sponsor, 26 Shirts. You guys know that we hit up the comments pretty quick generally, so we're going to go there. But what I do want to bring up real quick is we promised to give away that Trey White custom black jersey, autographed custom black jersey. And bada bing, there's the list. Now, we had kick butt participation during the draft show. Yep, a very nice list. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click the button. It's a random name finder. So whoever it lands on here, I don't have any special music, but you'll see the name pop up. Whoever it lands on, we will contact you. You contact us. Give us your address, and we'll ship that jersey out. You guys ready for this one? Boom.
Get it.
Get it. Spin that wheel. Pew, pew, pew. Jared, you gonna write the name down? Oh,
Doug?
there it is. Doug Augie. Congratulations, Doug Augie. You are the new owner of a Trey White, which is fitting. He just signed with the Bills last week. It was beautiful that we had that jersey. Black, autograph, authenticated with JSA, or it's either JSA or something else, but it is a sweet jersey. So congratulations, Doug. That's awesome. Let's see if Doug's reaction is out here somewhere. Let's find out where Doug is. So like I said, we always hit the comments up here. All right, we're going to start off with the first comment of the day, which is from Patrick Hughes, K-Gun, back on Tuesday, and it feels just right. What's up, Patrick? Patrick in the comments. Through the uprights, Patrick Hughes, Corey Blaine, and Rob Mullen have their own show going on there. Check them out. What's up, Patrick? Thanks for joining. There's Doug. Hey there, everyone. Happy Tuesday. This was before we spun that Fandemonium Wheel of Destiny. Doug, message us, my friend. Send us your mailing address. We'll get that jersey sent out to you.
We might already have it. I'll send it to you. He won a shirt too during the draft party.
Doug's becoming that guy, isn't he? Jared.
Yes. It's all right though.
Lonnie Cook and Doug Augie. I forgot to mention, we do have a special guest coming on, Ryan Thomas from the Thomas Take Sports podcast. I'll introduce him when he comes in, but he's a draft guy just like I am, so he's all about it. He's pumped up about it. So we're gonna have him come in here. It's his birthday tomorrow, Jared. It's
oh nice.
Ryan Thomas's birthday tomorrow. He turns 33 years old, so he went out and celebrated with dinner tonight. So that's why he's running a little late. Patrick Hughes, I love being going off on the 2 Radio Goof, showing us how truly passionate he is being the Bills GM. We'll get there. Tons of takes on it. But like I said, I was just about to rant about it. We'll get there. Corey Blaine, what's up, Mafia?
Yeah, we gotta wait for Ryan to get here for that.
Oh yeah. Decent draft overall. Glad we sold out on defense. Yeah, I think I'm with that take. Patrick Hughes loved it, and he was right on. Yeah, Patrick was a guest on the show. He basically said a couple things. He said that Cleveland, whatever Cleveland does, will jack up the trade, will jack up the draft, which obviously we found out that they trade away their second pick. They traded away, let's say, Travis Hunter, and they got Mason Graham later in it, but they threw everything else for the loop. Jacksonville moved up, grabbed Travis Hunter, and the rest is history. Big Baller Bean did his job. He did. Mary Jane Brown Hughes says, in the middle of several storms, so internet is on and off. Be safe, everyone. Yeah. The storm was supposed to hit. We're in the middle of the Finger Lakes here. Farmington, Phelps, Clifton Springs, Penny, and Jared is. And did you get anything, Jared?
Yeah, we got hit pretty good with a little bit of a storm, a quick thunderstorm, and it seemed to have stayed north of us. So hopefully we're in the clear.
Of course, I get in the car on the way home from work, and that's when my phone went off. Everybody take shelter. And it's like, great. I had to stop a couple times on the road, but it lasted by 5 minutes, but then it all passed through. But yeah, be careful if you're still getting it for sure. Patrick Heels, no, not the wheel. Yep, the wheel got you. Alberto, what's up, Alberto? Hey, Mafia, another fun Tuesday. It always is fun. Keely Smith says, I'm happy with our draft. So am I. Very happy. Keely Smith.
I'm all done sending everybody the share, so I'm going to open a beer.
There you go. Share the share. Open a beer. What are you drinking?
We got some Victory Brewing Company. The sours. Sour Monkey.
You've been on them sours lately.
Delicious.
Yeah, they are good beers. I can only have a couple. The gut rot takes over. I know Corey Blaine, a follower of ours, a friend of ours, likes them sour beers too. But that's a good one. I got Hazy Little Thing IPA. I got 2 of these guys tonight.
That's good.
So there we go. There we go. Corey says, congratulations, Doug. Doug, if you don't know, he knows. No way. Woo! Nice. Patrick Hughes, shocking. I lost again. The streak continues. Congrats, Doug. Congrats, Doug. Everybody's giving their congratulations to Doug Augie for winning that jersey. This is Sparta. What's up, Buffalo Spartan? I pop in to see I lost. Yes, you did. Just got out of work. What's up, boys? Mafia, mount up. I'm not going to try to do it like Buffalo Spartan. He gets really intense under there. No. Can you do it, Jay?
Scott, who won that Flex Mafia shirt again? Do you remember?
I'd have to check.
Oh, I have to go and watch it. Okay.
Yep.
I'll get you guys.
That's outstanding. No one I know ever wins these things. Keely, congratulations. Dwayne Hyde. What's up, Dwayne? I love his little image there. Dwayne. He's got the the Hamlin jersey,
Damar
the
Hamlin.
Hamlin picture. Yep, cool.
Great
Beaner,
draft in
X-Man.
2025. Yep.
Hell yeah. John Robert, Landon Jackson was a steal. Yes, he was. I've seen mocks that take him as early second, and he was available at third round pick. So that was a pretty impressive pickup for Buffalo. And we knew Bean was going to drop back in that third round. He always does. He always finds a way. And there we was sitting in that third round. I'm safe of the storm. It's north of me. Yeah, Patrick Hughes is in Florida, so it's a bit north. It's a bit north. Rumors Jordan Hannick will start off at the safety room. I don't mind that rumor. That's not a bad one. It's not. We all know that Bean and company, McDermott likes to bring in those guys that can play more than one position. There were a couple guys in this draft, I believe, are set in their one position, possibly that 350-pound, 6'8" guy. Not sure he's going to be much of a Tech 3, but Tech 1 defensive tackle is where he is. But you're right, John. There are a couple of bunch of players on this Bills roster that are pretty active as bouncing around and being multi-purpose.
Yeah, quick little nugget where Maxwell Hairston's known to not want to come up and make a tackle on somebody because of his late shoulder injury he had last year, but his 180-pound body. Jordan Hancock loves putting his helmet on people, so I wouldn't doubt seeing him back there at safety.
Well, Jared, it's not necessarily Hairston doesn't like to tackle. He's in there. He just gets dinged up when he's putting his head in where it probably shouldn't be. We got a long one from Doug. Needed to get younger and better on D. That's exactly what he did. There was no receiver in the draft that would have made a difference. We'll get there for sure. Or even made the team. That being said, Kyle Williams would have been fun. Okay. I like it. I saw an interesting stat. The AFC Championship game we played in, our defensive line was 28 and a half years old on average. Now it's knocked down to 24 years old. So we got younger. The lovely Paulette Brown. Good evening, my Mafia family. Let's go Buffalo with a bunch of emojis. What's up, Paulette? Here's Patrick again. Love that they are and have meet with a wide receiver more and possibly meeting with Kay Allen. I heard them rumors. Moore would be definitely an interesting pick, and Keenan Allen, obviously, he did all right in his when he went to Chicago. Yeah, right. So it'll be interesting. Bean never stops working. He never stops working. And we'll also get to that because there's a lot of people that believe that Bean doesn't do enough for Josh Allen, but I'm about to put that one into the ground here. Harold Fuller, not a rumor. Bean said Hancock was drafted as a safety. Yep.
There you go.
Okay. There you go. Hi, Jared and Scott. Hi, Paulette. Alberto Rivero says, I'm a Buckeye fan. Jordan Hancock will give his all. That's what we like to hear. That's what, during the interview process and the scouting and all that stuff, the Buffalo Bills spend a lot of time, a lot of money, invest a lot of their staff to go do their job. And we'll get to it in a minute about this whole Bean and WGR thing. But they get paid the big bucks to do what they do. There's a lot of people involved. And I love giving grades with drafts, Jared. It's always fun to do, but those grades generally are brought up by who we personally as fans think the Bills should have got. My theory is if the Bills got everybody they wanted, as evidenced by moving up and doing all that stuff, then the Bills deserve an A+ grade. I'm not giving them that. But if they got what they wanted and they got everything they wanted, wouldn't that be considered an A+ draft?
Yep, if they had the people on their board there and they have the opportunity to get up to get who they wanted and ultimately got the player that fit their scheme and who they were looking for, then that's an A+ on there. Like you said, Scott, in your opinion, it could be a B+ from what you thought was going to happen, right? But like we've said before, once you start doing this draft, those players never fall to you anyway. It's a big mash of confusion and no one goes where whoever thought they were going to go. Even the professionals that do this every day, all day, they don't get it right either. Mm-hmm. So there are players that you would like to see fit that you have an eye on that you've been scouting. But ultimately the guys that are scouting that get paid a lot of money, that have the computers that have 5 million different algorithms are on the right path, a different path than we are. So there's that too.
And for many fans that just like to dabble in it, they're just watching highlights. And there's a certain depth to it. You could be someone that just watches highlights or goes to one of these websites and looks up the information to find out their positives and their weaknesses, their strengths, and all that stuff. And that's perfectly fine. Do you? We're a page that does not judge about how big of a fan you are, whether you just like the color red, white, and blue, or if you do dive deep into it. But I can tell you right now, you're not those guys at the stadiums during the college years watching these games, taking notes in the film room. We're not there. I'm sorry. That's just not me. So I'm not going to be one that says I'm going to give a C for a draft when I really am not digging in deep as these other guys that get paid to do it. It's just fun to do for sure. It's a fan first perspective here. We'll take your opinion and we'll talk about it. We may try to change it just in conversation, but that's what we're all about. Joining the Stampede, joining the conversation, talking Bills football, and enjoying this thing. And you know, I think it's kind of a slap in the face to give like a D or C for these young men that just came in, haven't even played a down of football, and you're already saying it's a bad draft. I mean, that's funny to me. Haha.
Yeah, go back and see what that 2000 the draft they just, what was it, 21 that they just signed everybody back from Benford and Khalil Shakir. Was that the 21 draft or 22?
That was 20.
Go back and see what everyone's grade for that was.
Okay. Yeah. That was 22. 2022. Yeah. Shakir, James Cook.
And see what the grades were for that.
For sure.
I'm not gonna
digress. Harold Fuller Davis and Hairston tried to get Bean to sign another Kentucky. I'd be as free agent, and he said, I think we have enough Wildcats for now. So now it's Davis, Hairston, and Deion Walker, which is funny, which is cool. Dorian Strong from John Robert. Dorian Strong said it was graded 4th grade, and the Bills grabbed him in the 6th round. Yep. The kid. Yep. I got you. Joey Hatch, 12th Man Mafia in the house. And if you're a social media guy that likes to find different websites or different sites to join, Joey Hatch runs a page to 12th Man Mafia. Go over there. Check him out. He says, go Bills. When in May do OTA start? In May. That's all I got. I don't have the number in front of me right now, John. I'm sure that our lovely fans that pay attention and leave comments right now, 602 of you guys are watching live. That's freaking awesome. But yeah, it's in May. I just can't remember the date. I apologize. Alberto says, haters are going to hate. We will see some camps and games. That's the true test, right? That's the true test. I mean, some of these players that have really good numbers don't play any tough colleges, Shadir Sanders. Some of these guys with semi-decent numbers, and the reason I'm going here is because the 7th round draft pick that we got in Caden Prather played a lot of tough defenses, and yet he still shined. And there's some interesting stats that we will bring up when we talk about him of why we believe he was a good pick. He's not going to be number 1, 2, 3, or 4, but he is someone that legit is going to fight for that 5th spot. And I think we're going to like what we see out of him. The gentleman from Maryland, he's going to be exciting. He's going to be an exciting prospect. And for those of you who said we didn't address the wide receiver in a draft, let's not forget we had a 7th round. Schedule drops May 14th. Can't wait. We will have a special show with the schedule. I think the show before that, we usually do a mock show, like try to guess what the schedule is. But
yep. So we'll see. We bet beers on that one. Scott, some quick updates. The first day of OTAs workout start May 25th to 29th, June 2nd to 3rd, June 5th. Mandatory minicap starts June 10th and 12th. I think that's a report on April. It says first day, April 21st. So, obviously that was a couple days ago. That was before the draft. So the first day already happened. OTA off-season workouts start May 25th.
Yep, those were voluntary, and obviously James Cook didn't show up, but again, voluntarily.
See, we don't know everything, guys. You got to look that up.
Dorian Strong, his father was a professional weightlifter. It's funny, his last name Strong. Some really interesting undrafted free agents too. People are going to compete. Yep. That's what they all take sometimes. Just give them a chance. Give these guys a chance. You never know what kind of scheme they could thrive in. They may have every athletic ability in the world. They just need to be put in the right spot. And like our friend Mark Maddox, friend of the show, guest of the show multiple times, he always says coaches prepare and set players up for success. So you never know who that diamond in the rough is that comes in and just needs that guidance to become something special. Doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. It has happened. Tyrell Shavers is the new receiver for this year. I like your take on that there, Harold.
You shine.
I think Tyrell Shaver will finally make the 53-man roster. There you go. Harold and John are on the same page here. And Joey Hatch says the wide receiver we signed is catching one-handed touchdowns. I saw his highlights, and he can definitely catch the ball on the run. And then some. And then some. Why don't we, Jared, since I got this Fandemonium Wheel Destiny up, spin that second wheel?
Oh, we haven't done it yet? Oh, I thought we already did. Yeah, let's do it.
We did the Trey White giveaway. Yep. For those of you, and we thank you again, join our Finger Lakes Mafia sister page. It is a page that we came up with a couple years ago. And basically, we're from the Finger Lakes. I'm from Clifton Springs area. Jared and I are both. He moved out to Penn Yan. I'm Farmington. Swank is from Phelps. And there's shit ton of Bills fans out here. And with all these pages dedicated to Bills backers bars in certain areas, there's other pages that are designated to certain areas. The Finger Lakes didn't have one. So we were like, let's get a Finger Lakes page here going. And let's bring some recognition to this area. So we're up over 1,000 members, which is pretty awesome. But we just recently had a giveaway for the Otis and Lisa's Pizzeria and Arcade. Real quick plug. They get a lot of different specialty pizzas, over 40 plus different kinds of wings. They have an arcade in their shop. It's a beautiful place. If you're in the area, hit them up. But we do have a $25 gift card for anybody that shared or tagged members to join that page, which is pretty awesome. So let me pull that up, Jared, here real quick.
Yeah, and then we'll start talking some football, guys. Then we'll start talking some football.
Yep. We'll get the football going. So this is for the $25 gift card. Correct, Jared?
Yep, looks like it.
Spin that wheel. Pew, pew, pew.
No, this is for the gift card. You're right.
Gift card. Carrie Wilson. Congratulations, Carrie. I actually work with Carrie. And I did not rig this, just so everybody knows. Carrie Wilson, Congratulations. I will bring it to work. Beautiful thing. Good job. Thanks for being a supporter. She is a Cowboys fan. I'm trying to get her to change to Bills fan. She's come and done our Ragers. Jared, she's done our 50-50s, so she's helped out quite a bit for 24/7 Buff Fandemonium. So again, congratulations, Gary. You and Harry can come out and have some pizza and wings. Actually, they have a real nice bar across the street owned by the same people, Dirty Jacks. So come on out for sure. And tell me the timing wasn't perfect. We're going to start talking Buffalo Bills football, and I got a good buddy of mine, supporter of the page, supporter of us, friend of ours, comes out to the Ragers, and we support the hell out of him. He has great content. I'm not going to build you up like Swank does there, RT, but happy birthday, first of all, for tomorrow. I'm glad you got out to have some dinner and enjoyed it, and I'm glad you were able to join us tonight. Welcome to the show. Tell the fans a little bit about you. We just did all our giveaways, so we'll be jumping right into that conversation I think you want to have for sure with the fan base.
Yes, man, it is always a pleasure. I'm on a show once again with two of the three, because we can't count Swank. I'm not counting myself in this, but I would say two of the three most genuinely awesome dudes in the Buffalo Bills Mafia that I've had the privilege to work with for quite some time now. I've been getting Facebook lookbacks, Instagram stuff, a little bit of stuff on my Google Photos at some of the old Ragers. I don't know why. I think maybe it's like pulling up like Bills logos or something from my Google Photos, and it's like every time I've worn a Bills logo, it was like 7,000 photos and videos. But I told Swank yesterday, it's been a bit, and it's a great honor to continue to work with you guys.
Oh, we're excited to have it. And like I said,
I love it.
I told the fans before you came in, I love the draft. You love the draft process.
Mm-hmm.
We love building our future with the Buffalo Bills, regardless of whether or not it's picks we thought they were going to get, whether we didn't know they were going to get. They're the professionals. They're the ones that get paid what we're doing. But we have a voice about it. So
sure,
we'll talk about those 9 players that they brought in. But first and foremost, the conversation I think is interesting.
Hold on, time out. Are we going to get heated here?
Huh?
Has Ryan already vented?
I don't think I've vented enough. That's a better question. Have I had my fix of venting? I'll tell you this. You told me to quote unquote introduce myself here to the Bills Mafia. To introduce myself, I've been in, and this will tie into the take that I have, but you guys have been at this for 4 or 5 years. You guys are dedicated to the fan base. You're dedicated to the fan base, and you're dedicated to providing great content for the Bills Mafia. As am I. I didn't even realize till recently, somebody pointed this out to me, that this next season, come 2026, will be my 10th season with my podcast. I've been doing this for almost 10 years, which it doesn't feel like that, but and there's always room to grow. There's always room to improve. And it'll tie into my take when we talk about what we're about to talk about. I want to make sure my laptop is nice and plugged in for you folks. Let me just wheel away here real quick. But
gotta get that battery charged.
Yeah, but I will say that these last few days has been an eye-opener to the Mafia. It's been an eye-opener to the fan base, I would hope, in terms of just what we've seen. And we'll talk about it, but I'll say this. There's a reason I chose to wear black today. There's a reason I chose to wear black. There is a line in Walk the Line. They say, Johnny, it looks like you're always wearing black. Looks like you're going to a funeral. Maybe I'm going to a funeral of the worst talking point that I can remember, quite possibly in recent Buffalo Bills Mafia history. This wide receiver one train that Jeremy White started, that he can't defend, that anyone that's hopped on this train has somehow found a way these last few days to try to jump off. It's like you can't jump off. Once you jumped on, you're on that train now. I'm just going to point and say, see you, goodbye, because you didn't trust Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott the way that the national media has more trust and more ability to give shine. What world are we living in where the national media is giving more shine to the guys in charge of the Buffalo Bills than the guys that cover the team? It is, it's unbelievable.
Yep. And they got called out for it, which is good. Getting a lot of happy birthdays here, RT.
Ooh.
Doug Audie, Patrick, Joey, they're all saying happy birthday. Paulette's is May 19th. Paulette, Jared, and me celebrated birthday May 11th.
Yeah, we're
Congratulations. Yeah, we're torches.
Oh, you're
Taurus birthday, 4/30/92, man. Yeah, I'm a Taurus too.
That explains a lot.
That's why we have a lot in common. We'll just say that. Zodiac folks.
So out of this, and we're going to make it quick because we have 9 people to talk about as far as the drafts. So, and guys, we're just getting a little bit of insights on these players. Obviously, you can go on the internet, look up their highlights and all that stuff, but we're going to bring up more of what they mean to the Buffalo Bills and how they'll fit with our Buffalo Bills. But first, let's address this Beane versus WGR. If you haven't looked at it, it's all over the internet. Go check it out. Basically, it was early morning. WGR, Jeremy White's doing her thing, and Brandon Beane coming in hot, defending his Buffalo Bills. And I've seen a lot of takes on this. I've seen if there was a player that came in and did that, they'd be fine. They'd get yelled at and all that stuff. But my argument for this is that players usually come in complaining about defending themselves. Brandon Beane came in defending an organization, defending a group of people that spend so much time in this draft process come January, February, time, hours, blood, sweat, and tears to figure out who they want to get in this draft. And they constantly get knocked for it. All year, even the last couple of years, we've preached defense. Josh Allen finishes the game, the defense ruins it. So what do? What's Brandon Beane do? He goes and drafts a shitload of defenders to help this situation out, and he still can't get it right. To the point where people are saying we should have drafted a wide receiver. We didn't get one, but we did get one, and a pretty good one at round 7. If you go and check out the tape and check out some of his information. What's your take, Jared? I'll start with you because I know RT's got a lot to say about it. What's your take on, I'm not saying Brandon Beane should have done it that way, or he could have done it a different way. I'm congratulating him because I love the fact that he finally stepped up and defended not just him, the whole organization and how they do things. What's your go on that, Jerry?
I didn't listen to it live, but it was shared everywhere. So I eventually listened to it. And what I imagined was Brandon Beane picked up that phone call, dialed in, and as soon as he started talking, he had without me knowing him right on his back, because he spoke up for the people like me and you guys, 24/7 Buff Pandemonium, that are optimistic about this Buffalo Bills team. There are podcasts that I watched during the draft that right off the bat were upset with Maxwell Hairston draft. Right off the bat. Oh, nope, wrong guy. How do you fucking know? Pardon my language. How do you know? You're going to beat this guy down before he even gets the time to play. Brandon Beane doing that said pretty much to everybody, I picked who I wanted to pick. I got the guys I wanted to pick. I've done the research for it. How dare you guys sit there and bash what I've done? You got to be positive. Stop bitching about it. If you're a Bills fan, get on these guys on the back of them, push them forward. These guys that they just picked up, be confident. Trust that Beane picked up the right guys to make this team go to the Super Bowl. Instead of bashing them and breaking them down every chance you get about how bad of a pick, I wouldn't have moved up for this guy. Why'd they get this guy? Celebrate who they got and just cheer for them. Are you making millions of dollars sitting in there scouting people? No, you're not. Leave it up to the professionals. It's okay to have opinion about a player if, he wasn't the guy I would have gotten. But don't sit there and say he's a bust or he sucks. It's the wrong pick. Who do you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry I get fired up, but when Beane did that, he literally took all of us optimistic Bills fans on his back and called in and delivered that for everybody. Yep. That's my take. Love you guys. Sorry.
Jared says he loves people when he's pissed.
All right. Ryan, go. Jesus, get it.
All right. So you set the table here, Scott. You set the table to just set me up with something. I've seen too many other.
I watch a lot of streams, a lot of podcasts, and it's just ridiculous. Some of the takes people are taking, not defending Beane and not defending our picks. And it's like, I've heard your take, RT. I've heard Jared's, and yeah, he took us all on his back and basically said what we're all thinking, just so the media and the nation could hear it.
Well, let me take you through just my day yesterday. Okay. And this is good. This is good for everybody to hear. So I'm in the process of my work day. I see something come through that Brandon Beane explodes on Jeremy White and Joe DiBiase. And I say to myself, okay, I'm not going to be able to listen to this for the rest of my day. I'm not going to be able to listen. So I have to get through this day without hearing this. I know I'm going to get tweets about it. I know I'm going to get into debate before I can actually listen to what happened. I got into a little debate, more so about the draft, more so about the picks, who I like, who I think they came away with in this draft, and how they'll use those players. That's what I do. That's what you guys, bring me on this show to do, is to give my takes on why I like the moves that they made, how I think they'll use the players that they're drafting, and why did they, in my eyes, why did they make the decisions that they made? So I get home, I put on the 17 minutes of WGR, and for context, guys, and this might sound funny, and I expect to get some laughs from the sarcasm I'm bringing, but it's actually not sarcasm. It's real. It's been bad enough, going through 17 years of a playoff drought with one radio station covering a region like Western New York. We've only had one radio station covering sports radio, WGR 550. I'm not going to kick everybody there while they're down, because it's been a rough couple days, but I will say that it's been bad enough listening to the negativity these last 8 years, especially when this team was, in quarterback purgatory for all these years, trying to replace Jim Kelly until they found Josh Allen. Like there was a period where it was like, will they ever be able to replace Jim Kelly and what he brought? Can they find that next Jim Kelly? 2018, they find that next Jim Kelly, and the radio station says he's not the next Jim Kelly. They should have went another route with a guy that's working for JP Morgan, currently. So it's that's the original irony. Now you got 7-8 years, a body of work in a career of Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, who's on the precipice of breaking Marv Levy's, franchise wins record in probably 3-4 years. Nobody's talking about that. And a quarterback that's coming off of an MVP season when everybody said the best receiver is out the building. There's no way Josh Allen's going to have the best year of his career a year ago. this time we were doing this show, we were communicating with everybody, and they were saying that Josh Allen was going to have arguably the worst year of his career without Stephon Diggs. He actually had his best year of his career, winning the Most Valuable Player award. So all that being said, I finally watched this video, and the worst part about it was the fact that they have this break where they have a 5-minute break before they bring Brandon Beane on. They put him on hold, and they're still talking about Brandon Beane's draft as if his draft was terrible. So yes, when Brandon Beane came off the line, he said, I've been listening to your guys' show here these last 5 minutes while you got me on hold here, essentially, and it sounds like 2018 all over again, because nobody holds them accountable for the things that they've said the last 7-8 years. And it finally took someone with the gravitas position of Brandon Beane, the National Football League general manager for the Buffalo Bills, to finally say enough is enough. No radio station that covers any team in the National Football League, whether it's Buffalo, New York City, Florida, you name it. No radio station is bigger than the team or the fan base. No matter how much they want to be or no matter how much they try to be, they've tried to control the narrative of how the fans should think. The only successful thing that they've done as a radio station, and I will say this, I make no bones about it because it really frustrates me, is stoke the fire of division amongst the fan base. I see it every single offseason, every single day. And to do it is one thing, but to do it to the point that the general manager of the Buffalo Bills finally said, you know what, guys, enough with the bitching, as he said, it says a lot. It says a lot in terms of what the coverage of this team should be compared to what it is. And even the national shows, Rich Eisen saying, if you come at Brandon Beane, you better not miss, because this guy has a chip on his shoulder. He's always had a chip on his shoulder. He's always worn his heart on his sleeve. So I go through listening to this video, and the worst part about it is not even the fact that it actually happened in the form and fashion in the beginning that it did. The worst part about it, my biggest gripe about it, is when Brandon Beane finally, and the conversation got better. That's what people, that's what is getting missed here, is that Brandon Beane was classy throughout the rest of the conversation and said, you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you guys soon. And, God bless. Hangs up. Jeremy White says, we won't be belittled on our radio show by anybody. But he didn't say that to Brandon Beane when Brandon Beane was on the phone with him for the 15 to 17 minutes. That's when I lose respect for people. When people can't keep things real with another person, that's when it's really hard to respect that person. He had so much time to say, Brandon, I like your draft. I like this. I like that, which he did to an extent, but you can't belittle us on our show. Stick up for yourself in that way. Then we might actually have a better interaction. And I actually went back and forth with Jeremy White on Twitter last night. I was talking to him till like 11 at night saying, that's my biggest gripe about what transpired, is that you waited till he was off the phone to say what you thought of what he was saying to you. You let him kick you around. You didn't stick up for yourself. And now you're going to say we won't be belittled on a radio station? You just were, because you've been doing it to this guy for what has been ever since they traded Stephon Diggs away. We've heard about this wide receiver train. And his reaction, Brandon Beane's reaction, was, we have an MVP quarterback without Stephon Diggs, in spite of Stephon Diggs. So it's fascinating. And there's been people that you guys know that I know that have doubled down on this take that they need a Randy Moss that doesn't exist. They need a Terrell Owens that doesn't exist in the National Football League. And if they did in this era, they're on teams. They're under contract. They're Jamar Chase. They're Amon-Ra St. Brown. They don't exist. I urge anybody that's on this train, what move could they have made this offseason that they didn't make? What move could they have made that was better than the moves that they could have made? DK Metcalf, you sign a DK Metcalf to a $30-35 million a year deal. You don't re-sign Terrell Bernard. You don't re-sign Greg Rousseau. You don't re-sign Christian Benford. These are the things that football people that want to be ingrained in the game, that want to understand the game and learn the game in new ways, have to understand. Everybody has a salary cap. You can't pay everybody. you're going to lose people like Harrison Phillips. You're going to lose people like Tremaine Edmonds along the way, and you have to pick your battles. And Brandon Beane has been doing that since he got here. And I think, with the exception of winning a Super Bowl, they've done pretty much everything there is to do in this league but win a Super Bowl. That's the only thing that's left. And if people want to say that they were mad about last season when they went to an AFC championship game when they weren't supposed to, again, I don't know what to – I honestly don't know what to say. And you guys know me. I'm a straight shooter. I always have been. I always will be. I don't agree with everything. There's moments where, I'm critical of Sean McDermott due to some, situational coaching things. Would I have liked for them to trade up for Brian Thomas Jr. last year? Yes. That would have been my move that I would have made if I was the GM of the Buffalo Bills. I will say that. But they didn't. So I support what they do, because there's no other team I'm going to root for in my lifetime other than this team. It's in my blood. It was brought down from generation to generation. I'm not going to hop off the bandwagon, and I'm certainly not going to let this region continue to listen to what I consider to be horrible coverage of this team. I have no fear in saying that whatsoever. So it is what it is. We will continue. This show, my show, all the other shows, there's a reason, guys, why there are so many podcasts in this area. It's because the one monopoly sports radio station does not cover the team properly. And I will say it. And if someone says to me, which people have, like, oh, you're afraid you're going to burn bridges. No, I don't. There's no bridge. I don't know these people. All I know is how they cover the team. And I don't like the job they do. It's not good enough. Right.
I'll admit I listen to WGR every morning, and I do it mostly for content. I crave Bills content, so I listen to them in the morning. And this a lot of the comments they let come in. It's I know they don't. Do they screen their comments? Most of them are negative. It's just like there has to be some sort of consequences for your actions, and it finally happened. We got 20 minutes, RT. I do want to talk about these players, but I did have a couple points just to bring into context what the whole conversation was about. And if you're interested in your Quit Your Bitching shirt, you see that up on the screen. Our buddy Swank came up with it. And that's an awesome shirt. I think that one's going to go like hot fire. But real quick, if you didn't hear the conversation, Brandon Beane reminded WGR that this offense had a powerhouse of a scoring offense, top in the league, without the wide receivers. He also brought up the point that the wide receiver class that he has now, he believes is better than last year. So that offense should be better. It was addressed that defense needed to be something that had to be fixed, and they addressed the defense. And I'm just going to bring this up real quick.
Yep.
We knew they were going defense. So now you come into the 4th, 5th, 6th round. Who you got at the number 5 receiver? Who you got at the round 4 or 5 as a receiver that's going to bump Keon Coleman, Shakir, Palmer, and Samuel. At that point of the roster draft, who is going to bump those guys out of their spots? And it's not anybody. So now you're going to draft someone that potentially can get that number 5 spot, which Laviska Shenault and Tyrell Shavers are there. They're going to fight for that spot. So who's that number 5 guy? You're not going to find anybody that's going to bump anybody up. And another point I wanted to bring up is Beane doesn't do anything to help Josh Allen. False. 2018 free agency, Brown and Beasley were brought in to help Josh Allen. 2019 round 3, Devin Singletary and Knox were drafted to help Josh Allen. 2020 trade in the first round to bring in Stephon Diggs. Zach Moss was drafted and Gabriel Davis was drafted in that year to help Josh Allen. 2022 James Cook was drafted in the second round. Shakir was drafted. 2023 they drafted Kincaid. 2024 Coleman was drafted as the first pick and Cooper was signed. And in 2025 they prioritized signing Shakir for an extension and bringing in Joshua Palmer to help Josh Allen. So this whole narrative
every single year,
of they don't bring anybody to help Josh Allen. Boom. That's all you need to know. It may not be that $35 million wide receiver that we can't afford, but he's done his work to bring in help for Josh Allen. So he's thought about Josh Allen.
I just want to add 2 more cents onto this whole thing, and then we'll go on to these players that we just got in the draft. These young guys' careers are about to start. The thing about it is you just have to be positive with this team. You got to take what it is. These guys at WGR had the way out when Brandon Beane first came in, and he said something along the lines of, let me talk, and these guys had the ability to say, oh, well, he said, I know it's a talk show. You need something to talk about. They could have used that and been like, yeah, it is a talk show. Being, we got to keep talking. We got to keep the hot topics. A lot of people like the receivers, blah, blah, blah. They could have went with that somehow. But you just got to just be positive as Bills fans, guys. I mean, it's not that hard to do. They're winning. Bean's winning year in and year out, 13 wins. Again, Scott, he's bringing in the right guys to support Josh Allen. Just the way to make this thing easier, and I think a lot of podcasts don't really appreciate it as much as us, and I don't want to throw anybody in the bus, but it's hard when you lose in the playoffs, especially the AFC Championship game. But if you enjoy the ride the whole way and you don't complain about every week what went wrong, even though we won, that's going to make that journey a lot better if shit hits the fan. We come back 4 or 5 weeks after the season's over and we're hyped again for the next season. Why? Because we enjoyed the ride. This NFL, it's hard to win a championship game. One team wins of the year, like any sport. If you don't enjoy the ride and you're just waiting for that championship, you're losing a lot of time. Josh Allen's only going to be in the league for about 8 more years, and it's sad to say he's getting older. So we got 8 good years out of him. If he wins 2 out of those 8 years, that's going to be great. But you got to appreciate the other 6 as well.
Mm.
Just love what you have in front of you right now, because it wasn't too good to go for 17 years back a couple years ago.
Patrick, that shirt is offered in tank tops, t-shirts, hoodies, and in different colors. Again, go to a Bonfire and look up 24/7 Buff Pandemonium on the Bonfire app. Yep, they do a bunch of colors also. Thanks, Doug.
And to the point of the receiver stuff with the draft, as we kind of look into this, I mean, last year's wide receiver class, I wrote an article on my Substack about, and you can read it at any time. It's like I could post that article 10 years from now, see how right I am, see how wrong I am. I happen to believe that last year's wide receiver class was one of the best of all time. I think that there'll be a lot of people that will agree to that, disagree to that, but I think it has the potential to be the best wide receiver class of all time. And this wide receiver class was one of the worst that I could possibly ever remember. So, T-Mac, Teteroa McMillan, Emeka Egbuka, and Travis Hunter. Those were the only 3 that were even in the realm of being first-round picks. I will say Travis Hunter was always going to go 2 or 3. McMillan went a little earlier than I thought he would. I thought he'd go like 12 to 15. He went 8. And Egbuka went a little later than I thought he would, to be honest. But that's it. That's all. And to move up and trade up to get one of those guys, they would then say, oh, man, well, we really needed some defensive tackles. Like there is no appeasing these people. There is no way to keep these people satisfied. The only thing that'll satisfy these people is maybe the Bills winning the Super Bowl. And then they'd say, well, they only won 1. Josh Allen probably could have won 2 or 3. Like, there is just no appeasing these people. Maybe they would have won more in hindsight if they had McDermott.
They should have.
It's so ridiculous, and it's blasphemous. It really is.
Blasphemy, I tell you.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. Guys, again, I'd be remiss to mention we are part of the Buff Fan Base Network. Been a part of them for about 3 years now. Loving every second of it. Go and check out their content. Ryan Thomas and the Thomas Take Sports podcast is part of their content. He will air tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, man.
8 o'clock.
Coming in hot.
So hit them up. A lot of other shows to follow too. We have shows Thursday, Friday, all that good stuff. Part of the was sponsored by 26 Shirts. Go to 26shirts.com. Pick out something you love. They're relevant. They're funny. They take a lot of takes on different hot topics. And obviously the money you pay for that shirt is going to a family in Western New York to help their charity out. And like I say, go to the bottom of that page because there's a nice story or write up about what you're actually donating to. So Buff Fan Base, 26 Shirts. Guys, it is 20 after right now. We spent a lot of time about that topic. But I do want to talk about some of these players. Really? So if you don't mind, we might go into overtime a little bit if we spend like 2 to 3 minutes on each player. And again, it's not to tell you guys what their 40 time was and how many times they benched and how fast and all that stuff. It's just to tell you about how we think it was a good fit, why it was a good pick at that stage of the game, and go from there. So join in the comments. You guys are kicking ass. We're at 960. Let's see if we can get 1K by the end of the night. With the first round of the NFL draft, our Buffalo Bills select Maxwell Hairston, Mad Max from Kentucky. Now, the only thing I'm going to say on him, guys, and this is what I love about this pick, there's only one cornerback drafted before him, which tells me that the Bills had all the guys we mocked, Trey Amos, Revel, Thomas, all those guys were still available, Hairston included, were all still available, and the Bills picked this guy, which tells me this is the guy they wanted. Jared, I'll start with you. What's your take on this Maxwell Hairston pickup? I can tell you right now, guys, he is a zone defender at that corner position, fast 4.29 40.
Yeah, watching a little bit of film on this guy. He breaks on the ball very quickly. His speed makes up for a lot of stuff. I know in the NFL that's going to change because the receivers and everybody runs crisper routes and they're a little bit faster, but that's speed. And his ability to change direction is amazing. Him coming up, reading the quarterback's eyes and jumping these curl routes or quick slants, it's pretty good. I think he's going to play excellent on the opposite side of Benford after Trey White gets his hands on him. I think he's going to learn a little bit to be more patient in the NFL because, like I said, the receivers are a little bit more advanced and trickier in the NFL. So I think he's going to be very successful if Trey White can get a hold of him. The only knock I have on him right now is his ability to come up if there's a sweep to make a tackle or take on a guard. He lacks that physical part of it, but that comes with that 183 body. I think he has a shoulder injury too, so they got to get him mentally past that. But I think if they can, he'll do wonderful things. He does tackle well, which is when I watch him tackle, he's really aware of where his body is. If it's a guy who catches the ball and he's right on him, he's going to tackle him. He's going to body up on him. He's good at bodying up and grabbing and squeezing and holding on. But if he's got space between him and whoever gets the ball, he does hesitate a little bit because he knows that they see him coming. So he does hesitate a little bit. But if he's close, he makes the tackle. I'm just worried about if they see a sweep coming and he sees that coming, that he's going to be a little bit shy. So we hope he learns a little bit from that and how to take on those lead blockers. But overall, I think this guy, that speed is just going to be something crazy because, like I said, he's going to make up, even for little errors that he might get in his first couple of years, he'll make up for it with that 4.28 speed.
Well, Jared, that's why we draft and bring in defensive ends with 28-foot long wingspan. RT, what's your take on this, our first-round draft pick?
Yeah, checking the tape, I see a lot of flashbacks in my mind to a guy out of LSU, Tre'Davious White. They drafted, 2017?
Mm-hmm.
2017? Yeah, it's been a bit, but I see a faster version. And I think the only gripe that I have with him is that there is a little bit of weight to gain. As John Robert just stated, he's gained some weight. At one point in college this past season, he was 175. That is way too light to be an NFL corner, of course. But he's gotten up to like the 190 range, close to it from what Brandon Beane said.
As long as you don't lose your speed, go ahead, gain that weight.
Right. As long as you don't lose too much speed. And yeah, a guy that runs a 4.28 in college playing for Kentucky gains a little weight so that his body is a little bit more beefy at the NFL level. And if he's, gained 10 pounds, 12 pounds, he's still probably running a solid 4.4, which is great enough, to be in the NFL and cover the best of the best. But honestly, I think that you take a player in the draft high with intangibles, speed, awareness, situational awareness as well, to what Jared stated, as well as a guy that can grow and you can help him get better and better. And I think, unlike Kaiir Elam, who just didn't fit the scheme, I think Maxwell Hairston will. And I think that they have the right guys around him to actually elevate his game. Guys like Trey White, who are actually back in the building. When the move first happened, I thought, I don't know about this. But now that they've drafted Maxwell Hairston, and I see a very similar player to Tre'Davious White in Hairston himself, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they let Trey White kind of, be that mentor, that role model. And he actually talked about that. Both guys have actually talked about that since Max was picked. So I think it's really cool. I think the sky's the limit for the kid.
Yep.
I think Benford is still the CB1. Maxwell Hairston, a solid future, present, and even beyond future CB2 that'll only get better. So I like the pick. I like the pick a lot. Great kid, too. Great personality. Fits Buffalo like a glove already. And those are the things that they look for, which is what makes Brandon Beane a special general manager.
Yep. And with the extension of Benford, we're going to have both these guys, CB1, CB2, God forbid any injuries, for a very long time, as well as Taron Johnson. So, welcome to Buffalo, Maxwell Hairston.
I think,
The next
Ryan,
one,
I think they made they comped him to Trey White. So was that
and
all?
Rasul
wow.
Douglas.
I did not know
Is
that. I swear, God's honest truth, I did not know that. Yeah, that's
was
pretty
there
awesome.
now that the Bills got him? Did they bring Trey in because they knew this guy kind of played like him?
I think so.
They're
I
not
think it's a
dumb.
possibility.
For most of us, we don't think that they're dumb, so that's a smart take.
For most of us.
So here's another interesting thing, and this is a pick that this is why I believe the Bills knew who they wanted and they went and got him. Which to me, if they got who they wanted, they get an A+ for the draft. Me personally, I had a bunch of picks, but I'm just a general manager here sitting on my couch watching highlights. They traded up to the 41st pick overall, second round, to pick up TJ Sanders. A lot of us were pounding the table for a Tech 1 defensive tackle, 320 plus guy, 6'6". There was a lot of names on the board. Obviously, you can go back to our shows and watch, but they went with a TJ Sanders, a guy I do believe had a visit and all that good stuff. They finally got their compliment to Ed Oliver. So when they do that rotation, he comes out of the field, this guy's coming in, and he's not only good against the run, but he's a pass rusher and a disturbance in the middle. That, and they got Dwayne Carter. So there's going to be a lot of rotation. What's your guys' take? And RT, I'll go with you. Well, I like this pickup because it tells me the Bills wanted him. They were tired of seeing defensive tackles go. Like, we're going to get him. Let's go get him. Let's bump up to 41. TJ Sanders.
TJ Sanders has got a lot of experience, a lot of good experience playing in big games. And I got to tell you, I think one of the biggest weaknesses on Buffalo's defense was their inability to effectively, consistently, week in, week out, stop the run. Maybe not necessarily, if you look at it in halves, they were better at stopping the run in the second half as opposed to the first, but the games that were tight for Buffalo were largely tight due to not being able to stop the run in the first half. So Sean McDermott has not had what I would call a full deck of cards within this rotation that you're talking about, Scott, for quite some time. I would say that the biggest loss that the Bills have suffered due to free agency was actually Harrison Phillips, not Tremaine Edmonds. I think Harrison Phillips was one of those guys that they viewed as perfect to play alongside Ed Oliver. He goes to Minnesota for a lot of money. God bless him. He's a great guy. He's doing great things still in this community, by the way, but sidebar there. But honestly, I think TJ Sanders is a great fit in this defense. And I think Sean McDermott, said to Brandon Beane, like, if this board starts to get a little crazy, we start to see some teams take some D tackles, there's a select few guys that I need to have out of this draft. And if one of them is still there, we have to move up. We have to move up. And I like the way they moved up too. They moved up in a way, they went from, it was like 56 and 62 or whatever to 41. But then they only moved down 10 spots in the other round. So it's not like they really
go back 10. They
didn't
lose a lot.
They didn't really lose anything out of it. And I liked that. I liked the maneuvering. Brandon Beane kept his deck of cards in his pocket to say, if this board goes a way that I don't expect it to, or even in a way that I do expect it to, I'll react to it from there. I'm not going to overextend myself, make a reach when I don't have to. And that's, again, that's another layer of being a GM. I will compare it to fantasy football. Like last year, we're playing in your league. I'm thinking, do I take Josh Allen? It's like, okay, well, if I take Josh Allen here, then I got to know who I'm going to take next. Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott said, you know what, if we trade up for TJ Sanders, we don't need to worry as much about who we're taking next as long as we get one of those guys. And that's what they were able to do.
Yep, for sure. Jared, you like TJ?
Yeah, TJ Sanders, he's violent. If you go back and watch some of his film, his hands, I don't know if I could take 4/4 of it. He swats, he slaps, he hammers down. He is a violent man. He also has at 297. I just saw that he's up to 310 now. He told somebody, but if he can still move like he was, he has a great center of gravity. He doesn't get pushed around a lot. He squares up when people are coming to try to trap him. He's got violent hands. He gets up the field, and I think hold on, let me look at one more note right here. Yes, violent, resists, occupies the center of the field very well. So I think that's a guy that, like you said, will complement Oliver very well. And it's just going to add to his game and Oliver's game. And that's, if you can get that middle occupied, that's something else. And when you look at Deion Walker, where are you going to fit him in? He's kind of the opposite of what DJ Sanders was. I love
Deion Walker is what Daquan Jones is to Ed Oliver. DK Walker is TJ Sanders is Ed Oliver.
Yeah, so we'll get to him in a couple seconds. But no, TJ Sanders, like the guy that will get separation. He's very violent with his hands. He's going to wear these guys in the center down, so this rotation can benefit from that. And I can't wait to just see what happens throughout the season. It's going to be great.
Yep. And just so I can add in my 2 cents. Yes, he's very violent, very fast. And I think you're right, RT. We needed someone to kind of be able to spell Ed Oliver in the same kind of way and bring that nastiness. And if you can have a Tech 1 defensive tackle take on 2 blockers, one-on-one matchups are going to be very difficult for that guard or that center that has to deal with either Ed Oliver or TJ Sanders the whole game. Paulette Brown, TJ's a big boy. He is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mookie Hawkins. What's up, Mookie? Fastest player. He's talking about our friend Mr. Hairston there. Best pass rusher DT. Yes, he is. About time we're going to see some sacks this year. Onions layers have onions. Onions have layers. Good morning, everyone. What's up, Lou RQ?
Been a while. Welcome, Lou.
Mookie, biggest athlete Walker. We're going to be talking about Mr. Walker here in a minute.
Yeah.
Hi, Lou.
We'll end the night with Deion Walker.
Top Mookie, we got to have you on sometime. Mookie is also part of the fan base.
Yeah, Mookie Hawkins, the man.
WUFO radio and all that good stuff. Mookie, you hear him sometimes talking to these players in interviews. Welcome to the show, Mookie. Thanks for coming. Top Edger Jackson, we'll be talking about that guy. Let's go to number 3. We know Brandon Beane loves a 3rd-round draft pick. No matter what he does, he goes there. We have almost 1,100 viewers. Thanks for watching, guys. Our next pick is Mr. Landon Jackson. Now, guys, I obviously mocks. We've already discussed about who we want in certain positions and where they're going. We're just fans that do this thing for fun. But in round 3, pick number 72, Landon Jackson, defensive edge rusher. And what I like about him is I love his video when he's coming out of college and he's doing that slap guy. He's real skinny. But what I like about him is not only can he get to the quarterback, but he sets an edge. Like you would not believe. He gets if he gets into the backfield with no one touching him, he doesn't like go crazy one way or another. He squares up, he reads the play, he goes and chases down someone because he's got 4.6 speed, which is crazy for a guy his size. So he could chase someone down, or he gets the quarterback. So I really like this pick. I think if you were I went CB, DT definitely first in the first couple picks. Edge was somewhere there. I kind of went towards wide receiver or something at this point, but I do like this pick now that we moved back in 3. Who did I go first last time, Jared? Let's go first RT this time with Landon Jackson. I think this is a steal. I honestly think this is a steal here.
I am going to say, and this might be a little too soon, but I think Landon Jackson has the potential to be one of their 2 best picks of this draft. One of their 2 best picks. 6'5", 271 pounds. I talked about it. Great experience with TJ Sanders. Things you look for, like 2-3-year starter at best. Anything more than that is a blessing. Landon Jackson, a 3-year starter. Strengths, virtually unstoppable against tight ends in college. Virtually unstoppable against guys that are a little bit smaller as far as tackles due to his size. More of a power rusher than a speed rusher due to the size that he has. He just imposes it. The wingspan of this kid is unlike anything I've ever seen. It reminds me for the MMA.
It's a requirement, right? It's a requirement for our defensive ends to have a wingspan. They can scratch their ankles without bending over.
It seems to be. And for the MMA fans out there, he's got like the John Jones, 85-inch reach. And he's built like a heavyweight. So I mean, it's pretty awesome. The one area that I think, like if I'm Landon Jackson and I'm on the phone with Sean McDermott or Brandon Beane, he bursts into tears. He's bursting into tears because he knows that he will have the opportunity to grow with a group that has been in this system like Epinesa and Rousseau. I think that the youth of a Landon Jackson and the youth plus experience that Rousseau and Epinesa have, it's just going to be collectively a greater unit together. And I'm really excited for this kid. I looked at all the defensive ends, and I felt like he had a nose for the football just about better than anybody. It seemed like wherever the ball was, he was trying to get involved. If it was, on the other side of the field, he's running from one side of the field to the other to try to find the ball carrier. So I really love this kid. I'm super excited for him. He seems like an awesome dude. Again, another awesome dude off the field, and seems like a guy that's really eager for the opportunity. Razorback Landon Jackson turned Buffalo Bill.
Here we go, folks. We're in overtime.
Had to do it. Paulette reminded me. Lou Arcu's on board with what you're saying. He's predicting he'll lead in sacks and wear toupee for the Super Bowl. Love it. Lou Arcu, 747 wingspan. He passes the gravy to himself on Thanksgiving. He brought the boat.
No, he has alopecia, so he's a big proponent for alopecia, and he supports all those groups. So again, like you said, Ryan, he's good off the field. What I love about this guy is, Scott, you mentioned at the beginning how he was just slapping the pads when he was young, running through the drill there. From then till now, because for this guy drew me to watch a lot of highlights of him, just because of where he came from, because of that meme that you see of him slapping. This guy proves that over the last 4 years that he was willing to learn the game, and he's probably easily coached. You know what I mean? So that's an awesome thing to have come to this Buffalo Bills defense. This kid is coachable. What I've saw over the years of him playing was he was loose and wild with his arms and his legs because he's lengthy, but as he matured, his legs are still a little wobbly, but his upper body seems to slip through, and he seems to get under a lot of players. It's amazing to watch. Go watch his freshman year to his most recent years, and he's changed his way of playing over those years, and it's awesome because it shows us that he's coachable. Again, when you see videos, he taps a lot of balls down because he gets those arms down. When he gets those arms up, they're just big flappers. So I think he's going to be an immediate great addition to this team. You mentioned the long wingspan. Him and Gregor Rousseau are going to have 30 yards from sideline to sideline covered with just their wingspan. So high energy guy, gets great separation. Over the years, he's learned techniques that has made his game successful, and I think he is driven. And this is going to be, like Ryan said, he's going to be one of the top guys in the coming up years, and I love it. Great pick.
For sure. We got the edge. And then the next round, we go ahead and grab a lot of people were venturing off, either wide receiver, running back. This is the time we get another specialty player, but we went with what everybody was pounding the table for, a Tech 1 defensive tackle, the biggest athlete other than the guy from Florida, Watson, I think his name was, with 450 pounds, and Deion Walker, guys. We have our Daquan Jones replacement here. We have our rotational guys, and both these guys, TJ Sanders and Deion Walker, their weaknesses have been fatigue, but in our defense, we rotate like you wouldn't believe. So they have plenty of time to come off to the sideline. So loving this pick. It's a Tech 1 for sure. He's nothing else but that, but he's going to consume these blocks, take on one-to-ones, and he's really good against the run. Again, an issue the Buffalo Bills have. Jared, what's your take on this hog molly that we brought in?
He's a very athletic, nimble hog molly. If you look at his legs, it looks like two toothpicks. But watching this guy play, the film I've seen is he's kind of like a ping pong ball in the middle, but he never falls down. He stands up. I think he plays a little too high. Hopefully they get him down lower. But when he comes up, he occupies a lot of space, and he doesn't hit the ground, which is great. If he wants to be a ping pong ball between those three guys in the backfield, I'll take it. But I think the NFL gets his hands on this guy. They're going to learn. They're going to teach him how to lower his center of gravity and be able to, stop some blocks. He's good if, like when I say ping pong, he gets bounced around a lot. But when he goes to the outside on stunts, he's actually pretty nimble.
He's played edge. He's played edge.
So it's a great, another defensive guy that the Bills picked up, defensive tackle. He's going to bring something different than TJ Sanders would, but I think a variety is excellent with this rotation.
And again, one of those 85-inch wingspan kind of fellas too. So not only is he tall, but he bats a lot of balls down. RT.
Holy smokes. This kid. So my draft routine, I watched the first round in its entirety. Second round, third round, I was actually at the Buffalo Bandits game, number 1 seed in the NLL semifinals coming up Friday against Vancouver. But as we look to three-peat, by the way. But honestly, I wasn't keeping track of the draft at that point. I had some catching up to do. I'm like, I got to go back, got to look. I thought this kid was a second-round pick. I thought this dude was a lock second-round pick, third-round pick at worst. 6'7", 340 pounds. Again, out of Kentucky, much like Maxwell Hairston, much like my guy Ray Davis. Two-time team captain, two-time All-SEC player, year-to-year production every year that he played at Kentucky. He produced every single season. There was a one down year that he had during his entire collegiate career, rather. So, like player comp, it's hard, but the one guy that stood out to me, DeForest Buckner, reminds me a lot
Old Colts guy, yep.
John Walker. Just
Niners.
A big mammoth guy that can, bat passes down. Doug put it quite well there. As well, I think that third and passing distance, this guy is gonna wreck it. I think if you have to choose who to double team, regardless, he's out there. He's going to create enough havoc to free up somebody else on this defensive line, which is ascending with the names that we've mentioned, as well as the names that they've drafted. He's going to help everybody. I don't see a form and fashion in which he doesn't complement the guy that he's playing next to. Is there a little bit of work to be done maybe with some bend stuff too, like because of the body so big? Yes, but that's why maybe you phone a friend and bring in a Bruce Smith, or maybe a Phil Hansen's kicking around.
They've come to camp before. They've come to camp.
Yeah, so
I like Ted Washington.
Ted Washington's another one too. I got Sam Adams on Twitter. He's always repping his Bills ears. Maybe they call somebody like a big guy and see. Pat Williams was one of my dudes who TJ Sanders reminds me of a lot. I was going to mention that slipped my mind, but I just love the ability that the flexibility now that they'll have with the Walker pick and the Sanders pick and the Jackson pick too.
Yep, beautiful picks. Lou R. Hughes right in the comments going crazy. We drafted for skill and talent, not spotlight and showboating, and that's exactly what Deion Walker will bring to the table. When he's out there, you're gonna look and say that's got to be that Deion Walker guy, and he's just a mass that it's going to be hard. And I mentioned the wingspan, you mentioned the height. Guys, that's 7 feet, close to 8 feet worth of span that even if he is not getting to the quarterback, they now have to pass.
He's making a mess.
Yep.
And when I say ping pong, I don't mean that in a negative way. I think he's so athletic that if he gets pushed, he's able to run. Bing, bing, bang, bing, bang. And
he works.
He doesn't stumble and fall. He
through.
kind of uses his momentum to take him where he wants to go.
Uses it. Yeah. Love it.
All right. Our next pick, our 5th round pick, and we're going to fly through these guys now since we are in overtime, as mentioned before. Round 5, pick 170, a guy that I actually highlighted in one of our big boards as someone that potentially can land for the Buffalo Bills, Jordan Hancock, a safety out of Ohio State. He's a guy that is nothing but film. You take a look at him, and he is someone that jumps out, jumping routes. He's got that 4.42 speed, so he's a speedster, a good size, 6'1", and the Buffalo Bills needed depth. They needed depth. They got it in Jordan Hancock, and I love this pickup, and I'm surprised he lasted this long. RT, what are you thinking about this Jordan feller?
A guy that can play a little bit of safety here. I was hoping that they would get somebody that they could bring in that could complement some of the guys that they have. I feel like that was an area where maybe they could have went with a safety in the second round too, or maybe they could have went with a safety in the first. They would have had to move up a little bit to get the guy I wanted with the last name that I will butcher. Manafaccio or something like that. I can't think of his I can't pronounce his last name. It's a tough one, but he was somebody I really wanted that they, couldn't get. But I will say that there's a lot of reason to like the player that's coming out of a situation where he was one part of a really historic team and a really historic moment for that University of Ohio State. I watched them kick Notre Dame's pillar to post. Ohio State's defense was amazing last season. I think it was one of the best defenses in recent college football history, including that puts them in the company of Georgia, and we know the dogs that they got on the Georgia Bulldogs, now on the Philadelphia Eagles, but Bama too. They've had some great defenses, but Ohio State, their defense last year was amazing, and to get even one small piece of that puzzle to build and to help develop, I think he can do a little bit of everything. I see a little Swiss Army knife ability. And I think that he'll be in the conversation competing with guys like Cole Bishop and DeMar Hamlin and Forrest, the safety that they signed from Washington. It's going to be the secondary battle, especially on the back end, I would say at safety, is really going to be a big storyline come training camp time. I think bigger than what people think with the guys that they've been able to bring in.
Right. And we got some fans coming in. Say, Sarah Christine from YouTube. Thanks for joining us, Sarah. Terran Depth, we'll get there. I do believe there's a player that the Bills drafted in Dorian Strong that could be a Terran Depth for sure. You wanted Starks. Yep, Malaki Starks would have been a good guy if he landed there. He would have been a first-round draft pick. But I think the Buffalo Bills had corner locked dead in that spot for sure. Let's go to our second pick there, RT. And like I said, we'll fly through these guys. It was a surprise pick. The Buffalo Bills, I had them getting a tight end at some point. Quentin Morris, I've loved the position and what he's provided for the Buffalo Bills, but it was time to move on. Davidson obviously is a guy that was the third guy until we brought this guy in. Lengthy guy, tall guy, real thin guy. But with the amount of time that the Bills play 12 personnel, the amount of time they bring in a sixth offensive lineman in Alec Anderson, I really like this pickup, knowing that Jackson Hawes out of Georgia Tech, round 5, 173rd pick. That's what he's there for. The Buffalo Bills brought him in because they understand the offense that they run, and now they got a legit inline tight end that can put the hammer down on blocking. It may throw some defenses, kind of be able to tell a little bit rather than having someone out there that can go out for a pass and play action. When he comes in, he's blocking, and good for it. I think they needed someone like this, and I'm glad they picked him up. It was a surprise pickup. Did not have him even in my radar, but I like what they did here.
I do too. And with guys like Rob Gronkowski and George Kittle and Travis Kelce and, prime Jimmy Graham, the tight end is tight on the end of the line. Used to be that meant that guy would block. That guy would help the offensive line on the end of the line, remaining tight to the right side or the left side to the offensive line to help the offensive line block. We live in a different world than we did, 15, 20 years ago, where a lot of these guys are doing a lot of different things, lining up on the far side of the field and such. But this kid is a smasher. He is somebody that will impose his will. He plays really nasty, and I'm not expecting him to be the athlete in a catch sense that Dawson Knox is, who had a phenomenal year last year. I'm not expecting him to be anywhere near the athlete that Dalton Kincaid is, because I think athletically Dalton Kincaid is in his own category, despite having a little bit of a down injury plagued year last year himself. But I like the fact that, again, they're bringing in competition. Logan Davidson has to go ahead with this thought that they brought somebody in to compete with me. I'm going to compete with him. We'll find out who's better out of the two. This is a kid that if he doesn't make the 53-man roster, he will get scooped up. He will get claimed off the practice squad. And I want them to, give him the opportunity, not more than the next guy, but I think that he would be a huge asset to their offensive line, especially on the right side of things, in those jumbo sets. The Alec Anderson, you're not having to rely on Alec Anderson as much as they did. I think it got to a point with Alec Anderson where he started to commit some penalties that weren't necessarily on him, but he stuck out. He stood out more as an offensive lineman next to a tight end than a tight end would next to a tight end or next to an offensive lineman, so to speak, if that makes sense. So I think it's it's a good calculated move that should only help the Buffalo Bills run game as well, coming off of one of its best seasons in recent memory.
Right. And our newcomer here from YouTube, Sarah Kristen, that Taryn comment was about Hancock. Yes. Hey, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. It makes sense though.
More
because
on that
we
in just
missed,
a bit.
Yep. Makes sense because we missed Lee Smith. Yeah. Lee Smith was one of those guys. Good point. Great point.
Goated.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm there. I loved when Alec Anderson, you saw him running out there because he is a surprise, one of those guys that's come up through the system, and he's made a name for himself. But you're right. You get caught out there, 4 linemen deep. You're out on the edge of the field. Are you on the line of scrimmage? Are you not? It becomes a difficult situation. So now they can bring in someone that's like that. And you're right. He knocks people over, and not great for catching, but I think he's going to serve a purpose. And I can't wait to see how the Bills utilize him. Let's go our 6th round pick here. And I have the first one that they picked up. Round 6, 177. I was surprised that they went 3 here. I knew we were going to double dip on cornerback, but they went ahead and grabbed Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech. Again, another one of those players you watch his highlights, and he's undercutting pass routes. He's the guy I believe will be the Taron Johnson backup.
I do too.
He's also a guy that also I believe can play safety. But I was surprised with this pick. I was also surprised that he was still there at that point. Like you said, you watch so much of the draft, you get lost sometimes because it lasts so long. I did not expect him to be here, and so when the Bills got him, I was happy about that.
I was too, and you took some of the words out of my mouth. I will say, like, all the sites, all the different mock drafts, all the different rankings for different reasons. Dorian Strong was listed as a kid that coverage-wise was rated higher in coverage skills than Maxwell Hairston was.
Yes.
I saw a lot of that, which is crazy. You know, this could be another situation where Brandon Beane found a stud corner in the 6th round again.
Done that before.
That nobody gave him credit for. Nobody meaning you know who. But honestly, I look at it as this is a guy that can be involved in different packages, whether it's corner, safety, nickel corner. He can tackle, and he played in big games. I think that matters. It matters to me when I look at certain players, certain universities. Who did they play? What was the level of competition that he played against? How well did he play against that competition? That does matter. I think, it gets looked into a little bit too much with quarterbacks, but with secondary guys, I feel like it translates really well to the NFL and the receivers. Yes.
We got a guy coming up we're going to talk about with that.
Yeah. So I really like this pick. I'm rooting for this kid. I love his mindset. He's like, everybody's going to learn my last name. I'm going to make sure of it, that they learn it really quick. So let's see it, man. Let's see what you got.
Well, yeah, I'm excited for this. It appears that, these guys are getting these draft grades. John Robert brings up again, Dorian was a 4th round grade. I did see that. I thought he was going a lot higher. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, let's keep in mind in perspective that a lot of these grades on these mock drafts were based off of how often fans were picking it. Now how much the NFL is actually doing their Strong. Yeah, Strong seems more plug and play. Yes, Sarah. Thanks for joining YouTube. Since you're on there, guys, follow Sarah's lead. Like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube. We're growing. We're getting like 5 new members a week, which is pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Yep, Lou RQ. John Robert, I saw it and said, wow, that dude was still on the board. Hell yeah, Doug Augie. I hope he pushes Dane out too. That's the thing. We brought in Dane Jackson and Trey White and bringing these guys in. That if they're proven to be something worthwhile, I do not mind Trey White being a nickel defensive, a dime defensive back. How's that sound, RT?
I do not either. And I think that is pretty realistic based on his age and his injury history and the savviness at that position.
Yep.
So yeah, I would not mind that. I'm really, I felt honestly, like when I first heard the news, I didn't really understand it just based on why they let him go. And all that went down when they did let him go. And I felt like what happened after in his career with the Ravens and the Rams, I felt like he was at the end, right? But then you watched that press conference and it made me think, you know what, he really does deserve a chance to be on this team, to help in other ways that maybe he was a little bit too young to understand what his role was in that way, like working with teammates. He alluded to that, and I thought that was really admirable.
Yep, for sure.
To admit where you might have went wrong here, where you zigged and should have zagged. Now he understands what it means to be like a Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer type kid, type guy, I should say, and I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm glad to have him back. Round 6, pick 206. Now this, I had, guys, our offensive line, starting 5 coming back. Our offensive line, depth 5 are coming back. That's unheard of. With the rankings that we had last year, they're only going to get better. With Cromer at the helm and coaching these guys, they're only going to get better. Josh Allen was MVP. They went and made a move that I knew they would get alignment at some point, but they went at a RAS score move like they did Spencer Brown by going ahead and looking at UConn's right tackle Chase Lunt. I'm going to say love the pick. A lot of people say round 60 offensive lineman. I love the pick because it holds true to the Buffalo Bills philosophy that they're going after these RAS, high athletic score tackles that they can turn into whatever that. Do you guys not remember what Spencer Brown was all about when he first started? And now he's one of the best right tackles in the league. These guys are athletic, they're trainable, and when you get a coach like Cromer, you can turn these offensive linemen into Pro Bowlers. So I actually love this pick. The guy's got size. Watch his film. He is manhandling people. I know the competition with UConn wasn't all that special, but nonetheless, the guy was able to get to his spot, get his mark, block the tackle, create the edge, and create lanes for running backs. What's your take?
My take is exactly my thought when I looked at Chase Lunt on just rankings and stuff. He was rated as one of the most underrated offensive linemen in the draft. But I do see Chase Lunt as a true tackle. I don't see him as a guard. I will say that.
Yep.
I think that he could be a left tackle or a right tackle. If he's a left tackle, he's a developmental guy in the 6th round that could spell Deion Dawkins, God forbid, if the snowman, took an injury, could spell Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown's had some injuries in his career. So, you always need to have quality depth. It's an opportunity in the 6th round to have quality depth for a player that could protect your greatest asset in Josh Allen.
Yep.
And I will tell you, Aaron Cromer, he's not going anywhere. I talked to Brooke, his daughter, on Twitter about it. She mentioned, that he was really diving deep into some of the prospects in this draft and relating to the offensive line. So I felt like they were going to come away with somebody when she had told me that. I didn't know when, obviously, but he's not going anywhere. Aaron Cromer is going to be here for as long as they want him to be, barring any chance that he gets like a college head coaching job or an NFL head coaching job. Those are her words, not mine. So, he's an offensive line coach through and through, and he really wants to continue to help just evolve the pass game in the offensive line protections as well as the run game. Buffalo's run game, I thought their run blocking was as good as it's been in a really long time, since the days of Shady McCoy, maybe even Fred Jackson. I think this kid could really be a part of their future. Development, huge, coaching, huge, being a factor in that. But I really liked the pick again.
Yeah, and as John Robert brings up, Doxson is 31 years old, so who knows if this is something that they're going to try to turn into a potential replacement down the road.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we're up to our last pick, and I guess usually the 7th round pick is someone that you're like, practice squad, all this stuff. But before we go to you first, RT, and I know you have some unique information that I know that you brought up on your Twitter. But I also want to bring up some things here that we're talking about at this round 7, the 240 pick. And I hope you guys are listening, because when this whole and it's coming full circle, being in WGR and the conversation about wide receiver, there wasn't anybody at the time the Bills should have dressed wide receiver that would have been available, that would have bumped anybody off the list, let alone competing for that wide receiver spot. I honestly believe with all my heart that Caden Prather, round 7, pick 240, is someone that potentially could put a tough position on Laviska Shenault and Tyrell Shavers at the 5 spot. 6'4", 210 pounds, runs a 4.44 40. But here's the interesting thing is he is one of those Maryland players that did not play against a bunch of slubs in college to earn what he's done in the college career. He has played the defenses to the likes of Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Penn State. And there are a couple of examples of him embarrassing Will Johnson, Michigan, one of the top cornerbacks in this year's draft during one of the games. High point balls, catches one-handed balls. And I'm going to let you take over, RT, because I know you know a lot about this guy. This guy is nothing to ignore. He potentially is a number 5 that potentially can make his way up as we talk more as a weapon for Josh Allen. I actually really like this pick. I don't say this much about round 7 players, but he's got a lot of offer for the small sample size that he shows on the highlight film.
And due to the way that the collegiate ranks go today, I'm not a fan of this. I will say the ability for players to transfer, I think, has gotten too ridiculous. I'm a fan of the players making money. I'm a fan of people making money. I'm a economist. I want people to do well for themselves, financially, but business first. But at the same time, this kid was at West Virginia. This kid was returning punts and kicks. This kid was catching screen passes and taking them 40 yards down the sideline. And then he transferred to Maryland, where he thought he'd have a better opportunity to play meaningful snaps. And he did that. The stat is the fact that he is not, that he has a 1% drop rate, 1%, which actually was atop the nation with guys that actually ended up getting drafted in the first round based on their catch radius, like T-Mac and such. So catch radius wise, as you mentioned, 6'4", 220 plus pounds, fast, elusive, great yards after catch, great blocker as well. This kid is going to put a training camp battle together that could push another guy out, like a Shavers, like a KJ Hamler, who's, trickling around here. We saw him in the video there with Maxwell Hairston as well, another Kentucky guy, Kentucky alum once upon a time. I think that this kid checks off a lot of boxes that maybe he wasn't a 7th rounder, but physically he's probably a 4th or 5th rounder, to be quite honest with you. This draft was so thin at wide receiver and so heavy in D tackles and D ends and corners, that even the mid-round wide receivers fell. There's guys that weren't even drafted that had some
Isaiah Bond.
Right. That was what I was just going to mention. Guys that have off the field issues creep up here that would have been 3rd or 4th round picks easily. So yeah, I mean, a draft that saw guys slide, Shedeur Sanders aside, and then some. He's one of those guys that I think definitely slid and was somebody that, if I was in the wide receiver train, that the Bills need weapons, they need this, they need that, I would take the draft as they drafted it, look deeply at every single guy that they've drafted, and try to find the area that they can make the team, as we just did. This guy will battle tooth and nail for the wide receiver 5 spot and could potentially be one of those guys that if one of our wideouts gets hurt, God forbid, during the season, we could hear his name a lot sooner than we think. Preseason, massive opportunity for Caden Prather. Massive opportunity working with Mitch Trubisky, working with Mike White. He's got to show something. He's got to show what he's capable of. And I think there's a lot of talent to show that.
Oh, for sure. And I can't wait for preseason. We got a ways to go. After the draft, it becomes pretty quiet. But
training camp's next.
I mean, you got to love Bean when he was talking to the press after day 2 and after he traded and they found out that the day is going to be longer because now he has a pick in round 7. It almost makes you wonder that they knew something about this guy. They knew he would be available, and look what they did. They potentially got someone. And again, he's a round 7 guy. Not a lot of those guys make the starting 53, but keep your eyes open. I'm just saying that. Just keep your eyes open. We're optimistic Bills fans, but watch this guy's film against top-notch defenses and against top-notch defensive backs, and he's going to impress you. And like RT said, a low-ass drop rate. I mean, Bills tend to follow philosophy that they like. They like running backs that break tackles. That's why they got Singletary, Zach Moss, and Ray Davis. They like wide receivers that have high catch percentages. That's why they brought in Shakir. So they follow a philosophy. They find these guys, and hopefully he can make some sort of impact this year.
Yeah, I think that every single guy they picked can make an immediate impact.
Yes.
They have the potential to literally make an immediate impact, and that's all you can ask for. I love some of these comments. These comments are great. Golf first, then football. Man, I'm ready. I'm ready.
I got this big oversized stick that I try stretching with before I play golf. I haven't even touched it yet.
I need one of those.
Yep. So the comments came in like crazy. We have 1,250 strong. Loved every comment that came in, guys. We try to share as many comments as we can because your voice is just as important as ours. That's why we pride ourselves in the fan first perspective, because we love to hear from you guys. It is the end of the show. We got through what we had to get through. We went into overtime a little bit, but as always, we love having you on the show, Swank. We saw a lot of new names in the comments today, which we absolutely love. We love growing organically. I know that's how you do it, and it's just bringing in people that not only start following you, but start participating in the comments and all this stuff. That's why we love doing the giveaways. We're going to give our final thoughts here. RT, thanks again, brother, for joining us. Happy birthday tomorrow. We love you.
Thank you,
and
dude.
Tell people about your show a little bit and then where they can find you.
Yeah, so my show is the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I've been a part of the Buffalo fan base as well with these guys here, just like these guys here these last 3 years. They air Tuesday at 8. I love this. They air Tuesday at 8. I air Wednesday at 8. We're like back-to-back prime time slots there, 8 o'clock Tuesday and Wednesday. When the K-Gun's on, sometimes I'm hopping on the K-Gun one day, then the next day is my show. It's great, just like this week. I pre-recorded my show, and it was before the Jeremy White debacle. So I will say that I'll be, bringing a lot. If you guys follow me on social media, though, that is the best place to get instant analysis, instant reaction. I'm posting Bills content. I'm posting Sabres content, combat sports, mixed martial arts, boxing, round by round. If there's a UFC on a Saturday night, giving my fight thoughts, my fight takes. I love this. I really, really enjoy, going into what is now my 10th season, as far as, podcasting and providing content for this fan base. This fan base has given me a lot. This region's given me a lot. I was born here, raised here. I'll die here. It's great. 33rd year starting tomorrow, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, congratulations, RT. I did not think you were there that long. That's crazy to think you've been doing it this long. And obviously, you know how we feel about you. You're always part of the Rager, which we can't wait for this year. There's more information coming in on that, guys, for those that are following you. My final thought is basically what the beginning of the show was about. It's a fan-first perspective here at 24/7 Buff Pandemonium. We don't knock you for not knowing information. In fact, we bring you on and have your questions answered, and we try to kind of tell you guys what we know, and try to help you out with if you're willing to take the information. But if you come up with something that's outlandish and egregious as far as a take, we'll have that conversation. We'll talk about it, and we'll enjoy that company. We pride ourselves in the organic following that we do have every week. And if you're following, like, tag, share, we're looking to get more giveaways in for you guys that participate for sure. Congratulations to Doug Augie on that jersey, and congratulations to Carrie for winning that gift card. We do air live every Tuesday at 8:30, the K-Gun Report, right here on the X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So keep following us. And then obviously we're part of the Buff Fan Base Network, so join in on their shows. You'll see RT tomorrow. But we love you guys very much. Thanks for joining. And until next week, go Bills!
Go Bills!
Light that fuse and run.